Alright guys, so it's finally here. Wave 3 for the Mario Kart 8 Deluxe Booster Pass is releasing officially December 7th, and we got a full trailer featuring all 8 courses in the 2 cups that are coming on that date. And of course, you probably all already know the courses, but there's actually some hidden significance within this trailer and some interesting things in the background that I want to point out to you guys. There's some leaks that we need to talk about, and some big news potentially coming for the older courses in the game that have already been released. So what's going on, guys? It's Thomas from the Switch Stop, and this is the real significance of the Mario Kart 8 Deluxe Wave 3 Booster Course Pass trailer. Also, sorry if this video feels a little bit disjointed. I'm on vacation right now, so, you know, I'm not in my normal setup, so that's why. I'll put timestamps and chapters down below, though, so you can skip around if you already know something and want to get to, you know, the next thing I want to say. And most importantly, just want to let you guys know that we will be talking about leaks within this video. However, they won't be until the end. So if you're trying to stay leak and spoiler free, you don't have to worry, because I won't talk about those till the end, and there will be a big, you know, text on screen before I start talking about them. Quickly though, before we begin, here's a word from our sponsor. I got 3 names for you: Exactus, Deeproot, and People Data Labs. Sorry, you don't know what any of those are? They're all massive data brokers which have leaked tons of personal data onto the internet. Literally, as we speak, your data could be out there in one of these leaks, and that's why you have to hear about today's video sponsor, Incogni. Your personal information is being sold online, and you probably don't even know about it. All these massive data brokers collect your personal information and then sell it to various businesses for their own benefit. Fortunately, you're allowed to request these data brokers to revoke the information they have about you, but unfortunately, they make it so complex that no one can really do it manually. That's where Incogni comes in. You make an account, and just like that, Incogni automates the entire process. So in the background, Incogni will constantly be scanning the internet, checking to see where people have your data, and then going through all the processes to make sure these random companies don't have access to your social security number, IP information, phone number, relatives, date of birth, shopping habits, gender, employment history, home address, so much more. On a personal note, if you've been subscribed to us for a while, you might remember that this channel was hacked a couple of years ago. I thought I was all safe and high and mighty. I had 2-factor on. I thought I was impervious to everything, but obviously, lo and behold, the channel did get hacked and ended up being terminated. Of course, there's no way to know for sure how this happened, but I feel a lot more safe now that Incogni is constantly fighting to take my personal information out of the hands of these random data brokers. If you want that peace of mind too, then the first 100 people to use code SWITCHSTOP at the link below will get 20% off Incogni. It'll be on the screen right now and in the description below. Thank you, Incogni, for sponsoring the video. Alright, so let's start, I just want to say, with the graphics. Not going to spend too much time on this because everyone seemingly already knows it, but wow, man, visually, this is just so much better than anything we've gotten before. Wave 1 was okay, and some tracks looked really good, but some were kind of questionable. Wave 2 actually looked really good, but again, there were some questionable tracks. You had tracks like, I don't know, Mario Circuit 3. It's one of my favorite tracks in the game, but unfortunately, visually, it's just not really up to snuff. Every single track in this wave looks amazing. I'd say the worst one is probably Rock Mountain, because the actual mountain of Rock Mountain is kind of untextured and just a little plain looking. But personally, I think Maple Tree Way looks incredible. Boo Lake is actually a huge standout because the water texture and the water like ripple effect is so cool, and then the actual wet planks look so pretty. But then my personal favorite, and you guys probably agree, Rainbow Road Mario Kart 7 or Mario Kart 3DS, whatever you want to call it. This version of Rainbow Road looks unreal in my opinion. I didn't know how they were going to make a 4th Rainbow Road within this game look kind of different, because I mean, there's already, you know, 3 Rainbow Roads, but they found a way. And this, it looks like you're driving on like an actual rainbow, and it's like there's like water effect on it, or at least it almost looks like that. It's so pretty. I think this is going to be one of my favorite, you know, courses visually in the entire game. All right, that's something you guys all already know though, because it's impossible to watch the trailer and not notice the graphics. However, something you might not have noticed is the anti-gravity coming back. Again, this is pretty obvious, so I'll keep it a bit brief, but anti-gravity was in Mario Kart 8 Deluxe's Booster Pass within Wave 2 through Sky High Sunday. Sky High Sunday though was entirely an anti-gravity, and that was a little weird. Then we got the trailer that showed off Merry Mountain, and Merry Mountain actually has an anti-gravity section, the first like section of anti-gravity within the entire Booster Course Pass. However, it does not stop there. I mean, 3DS Rainbow Road and Rock Mountain both have anti-gravity sections, and specifically with Rock Mountain, that is huge, because in Mario Kart Tour, you can play Rock Mountain, obviously, and there is no anti-gravity within that game. So when you get to this point where they're gonna add anti-gravity, which is when you're going up the side of the mountain and the boulders are kind of falling down on you, the lack of anti-gravity, A, it's weird because you're driving driving, 90 degrees to, like, you're driving perpendicular to the ground. It's weird to not have anti-gravity here. But B, it kind of messes with the items. Like, if you try and throw a banana ahead or use like a coin box, you do not get any of those coins or whatnot, because it's just like it's not anti-gravity, so it's still trying to do the normal gravity, but you're driving like perpendicular, so you can't really like use items. And the fact that they're actually adding anti-gravity to this in Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, which is not something I thought they'd do because they haven't done that for any other courses in the Booster Course Pass, means that the items will actually function normally, and it's not going to be like a weird glitchy section of the course whenever you're playing online or with your friends. It's going to be like, it's just going to feel like it's actually made for Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. And that's awesome. And, we will see that in Merry Mountain, we'll see that in 3DS Rainbow Road, and of course in Rock Mountain, potentially in some of the other courses too, although I didn't personally spot anything. Alright, so one of the next things that I want to talk about is the moving traffic on London Loop. So we never got moving traffic before at all in the Mario Kart 8 Deluxe Booster Course Pass. I mean, we've had 4 city tracks up until this point. We've got Paris Promenade, we've got Tokyo Blur, we got Sydney Sprint, and the biggest offender, in my opinion, is New York Minute. Now, New York Minute actually had cars on the track, but they just wouldn't move for no reason. They could have just reused the cars that move from Toad's Turnpike or Shroom Ridge or, that sort of thing. But instead, like New York Minute, they have, like, cars on the track, but they're stationary? I guess that does kind of make sense because, apparently there's a lot of traffic in New York City, but still, like, it's just very odd. There's actually cars moving in the city tracks now, and that is so big because it's just going to make it feel like like a better track. Like, I'm sorry, New York Minute, in my opinion, is the worst track we've gotten added so far. I know the layout's nice, but, like, it's just so, like, bland. There's really nothing to do while you're driving on it because, I don't know, in the Central Park spot, there's a couple Goombas, but they're, the cars don't move. I don't know why, like, it's just bizarre to me that they didn't, program those to move. It feels like a no-brainer, so I'm so glad that they're actually doing that for the next city courses. And this kind of leads into the next thing I want to talk about, which is potential changes for the older courses. Now, I'm sure most of you remember this because, again, it was only like a couple months ago, but I'll recount for those of you who didn't know. When the second wave of the Booster Course Pass actually released, the one with Sydney Sprint, Waluigi Pinball, we actually got very lucky because they went back in and redid Coconut Mall, adding back in the moving cars that people wanted so bad. Now, the cars actually move like in a weird way. They move, they do like little donuts. It's not like how they moved on the Wii, but the fact that they added, that detail in it all is so nice. And if you're wondering, the way they did this is now whenever you play in Grand Prix or you play online, the cars do move, but in case you're playing on time trials, they do not move because obviously that would then be unfair if you made the move, retroactively. That would mean that like the people who time trialed before that change would have, a big advantage, and Nintendo obviously doesn't want to just delete all the time trials, although that would probably make the most sense, honestly, if they were to do this again. Anyway, the fact that they made that change is huge. Like, they made a change to Wave 1 when Wave 2 released. Now, when Wave 3 releases, they could make a change to Wave 2, and there's so many potential changes we could see. One big one is the moving traffic on New York Minute. I mean, it would be super funny, in my opinion, if with each wave, they just retroactively made the cars in the last wave move more. They already made the cars move in Coconut Mall. Maybe they'll make a move in New York Minute as well. I mean, I don't personally think it's like that likely, but they could totally do it and then just do the same thing they did with Coconut Mall, where in time trials they're stationary but they move in online. I'd love that. However, what I think they're more likely to do is, given that there's a serious amount of anti-gravity put into this wave, which there really wasn't in the last wave, they could definitely add anti-gravity into Waluigi Pinball. This would not require any change to time trials because anti-gravity only really affects you, to my knowledge. It might affect your drifting and whatnot, but I don't personally think it does. Anti-gravity only affects you when you bump into someone else or those little anti-gravity pillars, but if they don't add those in, that doesn't matter. Because if you bump into one of those things or someone else when you're in anti-gravity, it gives you a little boost instead of slowing you down. Now, obviously, in online and in, Grand Prix, that change would take immediate effect in Waluigi Pinball. If they made like, one part of the track in anti-grav, that would completely make sense. But then at the same time, when you go into time trials, you're not bumping into other people. Even if you're racing a ghost, it's not like you can actually bump into that car, so you're still chilling. Like, they wouldn't have to, really change anything at all from the time trial front. I don't know, personally, I think that's probably the most like respectable change, because again, it doesn't mess with the time trial people, but it also just makes the course generally more exciting, at least when you're playing online and local multiplayer against your friends. Although I'm really curious, let me know down in the comments below. I honestly do think they probably will change at least one thing. I mean, they did with the last wave, so why wouldn't they do it again here? If Nintendo could change one thing about either Wave 2 or just anything about the game, what would it be? Let me know down in the comments. Alright, so with that out of the way, we've covered how there's more anti-gravity than you might think. We've talked about how the graphics are improved, how there's moving traffic in London Loop despite the fact that they didn't have moving traffic in New York Minute for the last wave, and we discussed how they could have potential changes just like they did with the last wave by either making the traffic move on New York Minute or adding anti-gravity to Waluigi Pinball or just any other previous Booster Course Pass track. Alright, so really quickly before we go, I do just want to talk about the leaks because wow, this wave actually kind of disproved some of the leaks we already had. So if you didn't know, there was a leak initially when Wave 1 of the Booster Course Pass came out where all the prefixes, or most of the prefixes for the future tracks for future waves were like leaked. And then when Wave 2 came out, they all lined up perfectly, so everyone was like, oh wow, that wasn't just random like prefetch data, that was, you know, that was that was real, and people believed it because, you know, it completely lined up with Wave 2. But now it's a little more hazy. I mean, all of the tracks are here, but they're moved around in different orders. So, you know, maybe in development, Nintendo decided to move them around because according to the leaks, I'm pretty sure Peach Gardens was the second track within the first cup of the 2 cups that are releasing for Wave 3, but now it's not. So, you know, they've definitely decided to move some stuff around. And speaking of moving stuff around, when Wave 2 ended up releasing, Nintendo left in some songs for, you know, future tracks, and that, you know, completely gave stuff away. That leaked like a bunch of the tracks that are remaining. So every single track actually in this wave had already been leaked, so we kind of knew that they were coming, but, you know, regardless, it's still fun to see them. However, technically, we were not supposed to get, according to, you know, the music leak, we were not supposed to get Maple Tree Way until Wave 6. I believe we were supposed to get Waluigi Stadium instead within Wave 3, and Maple Tree Way wasn't going to come out until Wave 6, but obviously that is no longer the case. We're getting Maple Tree Way within, you know, the next 2 weeks. So clearly Nintendo has gone back in and moved some stuff around, which is just, it's just interesting. It kind of throws all our predictions out of the water. And, you know, if you guys want to see me make a brand new predictions video, you know, with this information, I totally will. And also, just judging on the fact that, you know, Wave 1 released and we got a huge, you know, leak that, you know, showed us all the prefixes for the courses, and then Wave 2 released, and then we got a huge leak that leaked some of the starts of songs for a bunch of the courses. You know, judging that Wave 3 is coming out now, I wouldn't be surprised if Wave 3 ends up leaking something as well. So just, you know, if you're interested in the leaks and you want to stay up to date, definitely subscribe, because I will be talking about them if they come out. But also, if, you know, you're somehow listening to this and don't want to get spoiled for the leaks, don't worry, I'll put big spoiler warnings, you know, whenever I start talking about the leaks, because I completely respect that, you know, some people don't want to hear them. However, I just, you know, I think it's so fun to talk about them that I kind of have to, you know, discuss them, because it's just, you know, I don't know, I love the speculation, I love this sort of thing, and it's kind of interesting too, because this specific wave kind of disproved some of the previous leaks. So now there's some more stuff up in the air, like we're not really sure, you know, what's going on. So I don't know, I just wanted to, you know, bring this up because I think it's personally interesting. But yeah, let's just get into the rest of the video now. With that all out of the way, I mean, there's not much else left to say. I just want to say, man, I'm excited for this. I think the Mario Kart 8 Deluxe Booster Course Pass is like the thing Nintendo's doing that excites me the most on a regular basis. I've been playing so much Mario Kart, and man, like, this game, I love the game, and I cannot believe we're getting DLC for a game that came out in 2014. Like, that just blows my mind. But let me know what you guys think down in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, hit the like button, subscribe if you're new, and we got a lot more Mario Kart 8 coverage coming out, like, very soon. Like, that's not a joke. We have like 4 Mario Kart videos in the, you know, in the pipeline. But if you somehow want another Mario Kart video, then click the button on the screen right now to watch me race with every single possible kart combination. Yes, I did that. Yes, it's on screen right now.